my name is Tzvi Lebetkin, the Rabbi from another planet. Please like, share, and subscribe, and ring that little bell. Ring the little bell so you're notified when new videos drop. I've been listening Big Finish, the third Doctor Adventures. This time with nobody from the third Doctor Adventures actually in it. You know, this is all they're all sound likes. That actually worked out reasonably well, apart from one exception. I'll be going over it. This is a review of that release, Volume 7, including the Unzal Incursion and the Gulf. Nearly a recommend. They're two reasonably good stories. I will say, pretty good stories with one major problem going through both of them. Like, both of them much more in the second one than the third one. That major problem is current day attitudes being shoehorned in to I'll say somewhat nostalgic products. Look, in some ways it's good. In some ways, for me, it made it just not great. But hey, look, if you're the type of person who is down for that and you like that, this release is for you. And I recommend it wholeheartedly. If not, no. And it's nearly a release because there's a lot good about it. There's a lot good about both these stories, which I'm going to be going over, in some detail. That's kind of the point of this video, right? That's what we're doing here. Before I get into it, can you hit the like button? That'll be fan-freaking-tastic. Then I'll be clear. That's even if you don't like it. Can you hit the like button? Can you hit the... I make that joke all the time, and I always laugh at it. When I laugh at something, it's always genuine. I make the same jokes over and over and over again, and I always laugh at them, right? Like, in the town where I live, you have to drive past this other town in Israel. I live in Israel. You have to drive past this other town called Alfie Menashe. And then every time I pass that, I see the time, I always go, Alfie! Like, I can't not do that, right? Every time I'm there, I just have to do it. And when it's somebody you don't know in the car, it's a bit disconcerting. That, of course, is how they would call Alfie Moon long ago was in EastEnders. Alfie! So I make the same jokes over and over again, and I still laugh at them because that's just kind of me, I guess. So yeah, like, share, subscribe. Definitely subscribe. YouTube have noticed that my channel growth was pretty good the last week, and they don't like that. They took a bunch of subscribers off me this morning. So go figure. So yeah, if you're subscribed, make sure you're still subscribed. If you're not subscribed, if you can consider hitting the subscribe button, that would be absolutely fantastic. Thank you very much. I mean, really, thank you very much. I am ridiculously grateful. And you want to be super nice, super nice, go check out my Indiegogo. 2 freaking awesome comic books. We got Biblical. This is, again, based on the sort of comic books I absolutely adore. This is like Sandman, Swamp Thing, that kind of thing. But basically the late 90s British invasion into American comics. They made a thing called Vertigo, which I freaking love. It's got that kind of vibe to it. It's a big book. It's 220 pages, 180 pages story. I think it's it's kind of a weighty tome. I think talking about real stuff, and of course, you got talking birds and all kinds of fantasy stuff for like mystical plants, all those kind of things thrown in. And then we got this one. Doctor Who fans will probably be more into this. This is called The Imperium, a love letter to telefantasy of the 1960s. Which, again, obviously, I adore. I absolutely adore. Basically, imagine Doctor Who, James Bond, Emma Peel, the Black Slab from 2001, and a monkey in a spacesuit, all together in one reality-bending superhero. Again, this is 105 pages long. Listen, never mind the quality, fill the width. But honestly, I can't put out anything if I'm not, just love it. I adore everything I put out. I make it as good as I possibly could. So please go check it out. If you buy both books, you get a bunch of extras. We got this thing coming up. It's right now it's a pin-up. If we hit 8,000 on the campaign, we're just shy of 7.5. If we hit 8,000, we'll supersize this to an A2 poster. We call this Noble Savages. It's of course Raquel Welch from the 1 million years BC with the lovely lovely Leela and K9 and the Time Machine. I just put a bunch of stuff together that I like. Yeah, attractive women, robots, and time machines. You know, and strangely enough, it kind of worked. Artwork by Dominic Ratcho. He also did the artwork on this on the Imperium. Freaking awesome. You get for the male gaze cards, a series of postcards. Yeah, pretty much what it says on tin, based on things that turn me on. Right? I'm going to be doing a whole other bunch of these in my next campaign, which is why I'm trying to wrap this campaign up. I just wish I had more time than today. I'm trying to wrap this campaign up so I can launch the next one, but we're going to do more. We're going to do People and Us for Barbarella. That's a great one, right? We're going to do Wilma Deering. You know, these, again, all things that, like, turn me on as a user. We got Space 99-1. We got 2000 AD, bit of Judge Dredd action. We got No Hanky Panky in the TARDIS. Oh, yes, there is. We have... see what I mean about laughing at my own joke? I laugh at the same thing over again. We have I'm Sensing Strong Emotions, Captain, and, you know, one I just think is both resplendent and gorgeous in every way is the Falsus Female. The Falsus Female also, when we hit $8,000 again, you're going to get this poster. Bohemian in Time and Space. This again, A2, 18 by 22. There's add-on posters. We got the Eyes Have It. We have Great Balls of Fire. And yeah, this is one thing I'm trying to find time to go back to. This one called Forever Young. It's an aging Sarah Jane and Fourth Doctor. I think just growing old together in TARDIS. Their hair's a bit wrong, right? Their hair's a bit wrong. I think if I doctor the hair, let me go zoom in. If I doctor the hair a little bit, I think because it just goes a bit too much over here. I got to take that back a little bit. I think it'll look a lot more like Tom and Liz, right? Right now, I'm not overly thrilled with it, but you know, yeah, this is the thing. This is the thing. You sometimes, again, this is Dominic. So sometimes you just got to let things sit with you for a while, and then eventually the idea of what it needs will put it together. What does it need? Probably more Leela. Probably more Raquel Welch. Both those things would be very, very good. So that was nearly very, very good. I'm kind of gutted that it isn't. The Third Doctor Adventures Volume 7. I do like this range. You know, this range is a good range. I've got the next volume already pre-ordered, and I think I still would, even though this isn't a recommend, right? Even though for me it's not a recommend. Again, if you're on board with the 2020 and 2021 attitudes, social attitudes, and you want to see them implemented into everything, then you're gonna love this, right? Then you're gonna love this. If not, maybe not. So fine, we got two stories in this. The first story is the Unzal Incursion. This is a season 7 story. This is the first time I think they've done a season 7 story. They had Daisy Ashford in as Liz Shaw before. Daisy Ashford is Caroline John's daughter. Now, the first time she was in it, didn't sound much like Liz Shaw, right? Didn't sell it at all. This time it actually worked. This time I found it. I don't know. Maybe it's like Stockholm syndrome. You know, I just got used to it. And yeah, so that complaint, which was the first thing I was worried about, that complaint, not a complaint at all, right? That's something that really worked. The basic story idea also is a really good story, and it's something I wish they'd done before. I kind of wish this was expanded out into like a 7-part story, right? Maybe they could have just done the whole box set and do a real season 7 story. Something they do in this, which I just really confused the hell out of me, is after they do the recap after the after the cliffhanger, the recap before the cliffhanger, you then got the a little bit of the title music again. I was like, what the hell's going on, right? Why are they doing that? Why on earth are they doing that? And I realized, oh right, in season 7 they did that, right? Didn't they? I kind of remember. I have to go back. I haven't watched something for a while, but yeah, I think they did that. So that makes sense. Look, Big Finish do their best to be as authentic as possible. So the basic, we'll read the blurb for this story, right? Before I was going to tell you the basic idea. Under supervision of the Doctor, the Brigadier, and Dr. Liz Shaw, unit are getting ready to activate Hotspur, a new advanced early warning system for alien invasion, right? That's kind of important. And Hotspur, right name, yeah, that's kind of thing really, really nailed it. Mark Wright is normally a pretty solid writer, and again, the writing in this, in both these stories is pretty good. But something goes wrong. Can it be that unit has been betrayed from within? Suddenly betas are falling across the globe and only the Doctor and his friends are able to escape, not knowing how far the conspiracy goes. The Doctor, Liz, and the Brigadier become fugitives. Their investigations lead them to the Fulcrum military training facility and something beyond the Earth. So, the story starts off, it's a bunch of people you don't know. It's always women, right? The same with the other story. There's a lot of women in both these stories, right? The second story is an all-female cast, with the exception of Tim Treloar, playing the Third Doctor, who again nails it completely. I think he's a great third Doctor. On audio, and especially like, why didn't they cosplay him as a Third Doctor? I think that would probably be good for the covers. I don't know, but this is mostly women, right? So the real problem with this is it starts off at a training center, at a new military training center, the Fulcrum Center, and it introduces a new character, Sergeant Atta, a northern woman, a northern young woman who's a sergeant. And I'm just thinking, I'm watching something that was really made in 1970, and the idea of women being in active service in the military was somewhat absurd there, because we were still somewhat shackled to the reality that women were physically weaker than men, and physical strength is what is certainly in the 70s was very important to the military. So to have a female sergeant who is really central to the story, right? New sergeant, really, really central to the story, without explaining it, just seems, again, inserting 2021 sensibilities, sexual politics into the 1970s. Now, I'm not going to say the sexual politics of the 70s were perfect. No, there was a lot of sexism. There was absolutely sexism there. Nick Briggs talks in the extras of the second story, The Gulf, about Wendy Craig, about how Wendy Craig had to write under, who's the guest star in the second story, had to write under a male pen name, and he says she just wasn't afforded the same opportunities she would have been if she's a man. Now that's probably true, right? That's probably 100% true, and she's a great talent, right? And it's wrong that was the case, but when you take one thing out from a society, right, from a social network, and I'm not talking about social media, but from like the network of society, everything is connected to everything else, right? So when you make one major change without explaining it and going against the prevailing normality of the time, again with no in-story explanation for it, it falls on its face. It does fall on its face, and you go, well, what's going on? It's just weird. And she's not a bad character, this Sergeant Atta. She's just completely out of place. More so when the story gets going, because essentially you have, and I'm not spoiling this at all, right? This is you find this out in the first few minutes. Fulcrum, this new training facility. You get a feeling that they're bad guys, like, straight away, right? Like, instantly you get a feeling that they're bad guys. And essentially everybody who goes through that Fulcrum training comes under the Fulcrum spell. It's a very traditional John Pertwee season 7 story idea, right? So that's essentially what happens. Like, the entire military of the world falls under the spell of this Fulcrum, which is like controlled by extraterrestrial forces, planning an incursion, which it says on the Unzal. Essentially, they say it in the title, and the idea of the Brigadier and Liz and the Doctor on the run, love it, absolutely love it. But they're then hunted by unit personnel, mainly this Sergeant Atta. How much better would it have been if it was Benton, right? If it was Benton, it would have like made a lot more sense. But also, the sexual politics, by changing one thing from the 70s, as they making women as prevalent in the military, as men, everything falls apart. Everything falls apart because there's a lot more than just women, an equality of opportunity. Right, there's a lot more going on than equality of or lack of equality of opportunity. There are differing advantages and disadvantages because of the differing age, and the weird ignoring of that again just makes the whole thing for me fall on its face completely, which is really tragic because it's a rattling good little story, which other than this one thing going all the way through it. I enjoyed, right? Mark Wright, strong writer. And also it's got John Coltrane reprising his role as a brigadier perfectly, absolutely perfectly. So look, voice work on this always authentic. The sound design is authentic. Apart from one thing, this story does include these like robot drone things, which you only find out are humanoid in like the third or fourth issue, right? So third or fourth episode, not issue, I should say. So at that point, I kind of imagine them being realized on TV as kind of like Tomorrow People-esque robots in army uniforms, right? And that's how I kind of. But the voices they have for them really didn't work. The voices are very 1980s Metal Mickey kind of voice, and it just really, really, really didn't work. Other than that, it was a good story. It was a good story. Yeah, again, I always like hearing a bit of John Coltrane. So that's the first story set in season 7. Then they do so, and they end on a sort of semi cliffhanger where they go, well, there's somebody helping these Unzal aliens. They weren't advanced enough. Who could it possibly be? And it's leading into the Master's arrival, right? It ends on a cliffhanger, essentially, like a season-ending cliffhanger of which is somebody's going Master, or something like that, right? And so it's leading into that. Yeah, okay. So that's that's the season 7 story. Then they have a season. What was it 7, 8, 9, 10? Is it? Yeah, it would be season 11 story. It's a Sarah Jane Smith story. So they have what's her name? Sadie Miller playing Sarah Jane. And I know this is one of the things I disagree with Nick Briggs about in the interviews at the end. He believes that she sounds exactly like Elizabeth Sladen. Like, he can't tell the difference. I can't see the similarity. Like she just doesn't sound like Liz Sladen to me in any way, shape, or form. She just doesn't sound like her. I don't understand. So again, with this, there's this redressing of the sexual politics of the 1970s. But again, it kind of falls apart without an in-story explanation. So this story is essentially. And again, they really missed the trick. It's very, very similar to Fury from the Deep. Right? It seems like it would have worked better as a sequel to it if the monster in it was the same as the seaweed monster from Fury from the Deep. Basically, the Doctor and Sarah. And again, I can't stand saying Sarah because I in my head I just had to imagine it's a different companion. She sounds way too posh, right? She actually sounds more like Liz Shaw than she does like Sarah Jane Smith. So they arrive on this planet where there's this giant concrete mine thing that's been mining elements from the water. So the concrete hill, I'll show you on the cover. They actually have that design quite well. It's this thing in the background. It's again, so that concrete bunker thing works really well. In front of the brig here is this is one of the drones from the first story. Just doesn't sound anything like that. So one of the things that Nick Briggs talks about then, because he directs both stories, this is written by Tim Foley, is saying that as audiences in 2021 demand a little bit more sophistication than they did in 73, which probably true, right? I didn't really notice them do that, but again, insertion of modern day sensibilities into John Pertwee's story, because I didn't notice it, but I think it just when I thought about it, they think they're right. It executed it pretty well, right? And I think that the inserting the modern day sexual politics into it just makes it fall apart. So you're on this giant concrete mine thing it turns out to be a disused mine. Again, opening scene, bunch of women. I have no idea who they are, what's going on. So it turns out they're in a disused mine. It's an ocean planet with a purple ocean, and it's an artist colony, right? An artist colony living there of all women. And again, if they could have given an in-story and explanation of why it's only women, and they could have been upset that the doctor's there, he's a man there, that probably would have sold it a lot better. That would have, but to pretend like, oh, this is just totally normal, 2021 sexual politics in the 1972, totally normal. No, that doesn't work. That doesn't work. And adding in that little plot thread would have actually pulled this together. So what's going on here? Again, it's very, very similar to Fury from the Deep. There's some evil entity, or not even evil. There's an entity living in the oceans. There's a Gestalt entity living in the oceans, and taking over people. Very, very, very similar to Fury from the Deep. There's another big Finish trope there, which just kind of annoys me, that the quasi-villain is a Scottish woman. And I think this is the third or fourth time I've heard this from a Big Finish release in the last 6 months, maybe. It's just... It sounds like the same person to me over and over again, quite frankly. The last time the villain was the Scottish one was the last John Coleshaw, Brigadier release. This time we're going opposite Sylvester McCoy, so he was playing older Brigadier at the time. But it's exactly the same, and I'm just kind of sick of hearing the same thing over and over and over and over again. It's a repetitive trope. I'm kind of glad I haven't heard the butt-kicking, the butt-kicking assassin or bounty hunter woman from, butt-kicking assassin, bounty hunter woman who's trans or bi, for a while. I mean, we nearly had one the other month with the Master release, the Eric Roberts one. But yeah, the butt-kicking assassin wasn't trans or bi in that one, so fine. Played by Chase Masterson, who's very feminine. I think maybe we should do a Chase Masterson male gaze card. It fits nicely into the theme of the style of was it season 11, right? It does fit, and again, the sound design, everything, all that works. They talk about they would never be able to realize this on the 1970s budget. Actually, I think they probably would, because they're in this concrete mine thing, disused concrete mine. Sounds like they would have found someone to record that. They did the Keys of Mariners 10 years earlier. I think they could have done it in Ocean World. I'm not really that worried about it. Fine, let's read the blurb. The Gulf by Tim Foley. The TARDIS lands on an ocean planet where the Doctor and Sarah find stop saying Sarah, find themselves stranded on a former rig which has been recently converted into an artistic retreat. And it's a very indulgent, very self-indulgent, because they're talking about how important artists are to bring messages to the universe, to the world. And that's why all this platforming is going on in culture, right? All this relentless platforming of everything. Things people always have these very important messages very, very uncomfortably inserted into them. They never work. It never really works. So let's finish reading the art. And also because the artists are more sensitive, the alien entity can use them better. But art is far from the residents' minds. A troubled member of the collective has disappeared, and the Doctor senses a sinister psychic presence. The waves are rising, and there's something in the water. So again, it's very, very Fury from the Deep. And then in the something that kind of annoyed me, that in a lot of the interviews at the end, other than Wendy Craig, actually, who's somebody again who probably did experience genuine sexism and had her life disadvantaged because of it, right? They all talk about sexism and feminism and how this is a feminist story. They didn't talk about that in the advertising for this, did they? They didn't talk about this in pre-production. They didn't try and sell it that way. And the reason they don't try and sell it that way because it makes people not buy it. It's that simple. If it makes people not buy it, If you're not prepared to sell it as that, then don't be prepared to do it as that, right? And that's really my message to Big Finish. But these are not awful. I don't want to look. They have done some really awful releases. This is not awful. There's a lot to recommend this. Just for me, again, that 2021 sexual politics running all the way through it. Yeah, I can hear Nick Briggs wringing his hands going, oh, we got to make amends for the 70s for when there was sex. No, you don't. No, you don't. I mean, listen, don't write a sexist story. I mean, if you want to hear a sexist story from Big Finish, go listen to the, what was it? There's a couple of really bad ones. Not The Ultimate Foe? It was a Colin Baker missing adventure story with the Ice Warriors and Syl. That's so sexist. That is so unbelievably. I mean, even if they made it in the 80s when it was supposed to be, that was sexist. And also the Prisoner of Space, the Patrick Troughton story that never got made. Because okay, I'm going to look up the name of that story now. That never got made because probably it was too sexist. So let's have a look at. Let's try and find what the name of that super sexist story was. Six Doctor Collection. Did they have the Lost Stories? Refined by Format? No. Out now? No. Okay. Can we do ranges? How do we look for it here? We do audiobooks maybe? Doctor Who, Worlds of Doctor Who new series. Don't they just have Doctor Who, the Missing Adventures? Right, okay, you know what? Fine, we'll go back to this. And then we'll just go through it this way. Oh, we're going to have to scroll forever. It was after this, oh, there you go. Mission to Magnus. Insanely sexist story. It's not actually even very good. It's worth the $5.99 just to hear it go, oh boy, I'm glad they didn't make that. But this isn't that, okay? Just write a story that's not sexist. That's all you need to do. And you don't have to have it be the majority of characters be women for it not to be sexist. Let's go back to, look at the cast here. Again, this really shows you the problem. There's 14 cast members. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, right? Of those 14, you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 10 out of the 14. That's ridiculous. It's just a ridiculous inversion, right? It used again, fine, I understand there were less female parts in the 70s than there are, especially engaging parts a lot of the time, right? There was less equality of opportunity. I get that. This doesn't redress the balance, right? This doesn't redress the balance at all. It does nothing other than irritate people who, find that reality is something that's reasonably important to them, right? So people who think women aren't inferior and shouldn't, should have equal opportunity. It just irritates people like that. But if you're somebody who really is on board for this redressing the balance of the past in the culture of the present, then this release is for you. But again, I do want to be clear. It's not a disaster. There's still a lot to recommend this. Just for me, how would I give this out of 10? If it wasn't okay, honestly, the first story. If they had Benton in that first story, and they added that explanation for it being an all women's colony in the second story, I would probably give this like an 8.5 or a 9. As it is, and it's struggling to get a 5. Right, and that's how damaging this is. I mean, out of 10. It's always important to put the scale in. So there you go. Two new Tim Treloar Third Doctor stories. Not bad, but with one big problem going right through it. My name is Tzvi Lebetkin, the Rabbi from another planet. Please like, share, and subscribe, and ring that little bell. Ring the little bell so you're notified when new videos drop.